Welcome to the College Football Weekly Pick'em Show, brought to you by BetNow.eu. You can go to BetNow.eu, use the promo code TRUTH100 to get a 100% cashback bonus on your first deposit up to $500 until September the 16th. So make sure you click on the grillingtruth.com website, click on the banner at the top of the page, use the promo code TRUTH100. I am your co-host for the Weekly College Football Pick'em Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome my co-host, Brian Schmidt. How you doing, Schmitty?
I'm doing good. Seems like I just talked to you a minute ago.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. All righty.
Oh.
That was the CFL Weekly Pick'em Show, which if you like Canadian football, you can hear on the grillingtruth.com also. Let's start off. What's your big takeaway? Because my big takeaway so far is this. The games are pretty shitty in college football right now. I mean, there's not a whole lot of really good matchups.
I don't know about shitty. I mean, obviously, the LSU Texas game was good. I mean, this time of season, you always have some weird games. There's been some really good games. Just outside the top 25. But, I mean, it's early. And it always, early is always, where you see some crappy games, but you also see a few upsets here and there. So, it's early. It's only week 2.
All right, so what was your big takeaway from week 2?
Well, I mean, first of all, that LSU Texas game, I thought LSU really may have a chance to be a pretty decent team. I was pretty impressed there. Clemson just continues to just impress me. It seems like sometimes I think, you expect a little bit of a fall off and they just don't give it to you. I thought the Ohio State Cincinnati game, I was not expecting that. I really thought that would be a lot closer game. But it was good to see, from Ohio State standpoint, them kind of have a good little bit of a killer instinct in that, which was something they didn't have the week 1. And really just kind of outside the top 25 right now, but a team that we're going to talk about because they have a game this week against top 25 team. I will say this, Hawaii is not that 2006, 2007 Hawaii right now, but that is a pretty good football team that, I think this week may be able to cause an upset.
All right, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The thing I took away from this is this. Michigan fans need to cheer out, and so do Ohio State fans, because Army's not getting blown out by anybody, I think, the way they play.
Nope.
I wouldn't read too much into that, but Michigan did get the win. Ohio State looked impressive over what I thought was a really good Cincinnati team. And we had Robert Drummond, a Syracuse alumni, on, and I think people need to start paying attention to this team because I think Syracuse has got a pretty good defense, and they put 63 on Syracuse. So I think Maryland is a team we definitely need to watch for in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that was of maybe all the top 25 games, that was the one that I think was the most, did not see that coming to that extent. I mean, Maryland's speed on offense is amazing when you compare it to last year when they weren't exactly the fastest team you were going to see, and they've really upgraded and much better football team.
Yeah, I'll tell you another one that shocked me was not that Oregon beat Nevada, but that they beat them by 71 points.
Yeah, again, another one of those we thought would be a lot closer game, and really did not turn out that way at all.
And another one, my favorite game of the night was Minnesota 38, Fresno State 35. I don't know, did you get to see any of that game?
Actually, I didn't get to see a whole lot of that one, but yeah, I did hear that was a pretty good game. Yeah, I've got that one DVR'd. I will definitely get to it at some point because
Yeah,
that sounded like it was a really good game.
Minnesota coach Tanner Morgan's the real deal, and I may or may not have a dog in the fight here, but he's from Ryle, Kentucky. Played at Ryle High School, and I think Schmidt, he's one of the better coached quarterbacks I've ever seen. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean he's pretty impressive, and especially for the guy that coached him. So. Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and let's look at this weekend's games as we've got number 20 Washington State travels to Houston at NRG Stadium to battle the Houston Cougars. Washington is a 6.5-point favorite against Houston. This is a battle of Cougars, Schmitty, and I think it's safe to say that whatever the over-under is on betnow.eu, you'll probably want to bet the over.
Yeah, I definitely think you will, and here's one of the real impressive things coming into this game, which by the way, I mean, definitely, take Washington State. Although, I think the over, is something like 74 points or something like that. Take the over. But here's the thing about Washington State that's impressive: their quarterback in 2 games is 60 of 74. He's thrown 14 incompletions in 2 games.
Yeah, Anthony Gordon, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception also.
And, it's just the reason why it doesn't shock me is when you look at Mike Leach quarterbacks through the history, Texas Tech, Washington State, you always see that high completion percentage. Just what he does in the air raid has always been impressive. And right now he's getting phenomenal quarterback play. But also, they run the ball a lot better than people give them credit for. They don't run it a lot. I mean, Mike Leach is not opposed to putting the ball up 70 times in a game. But when they run the football, when he has a good running game, he'll do more with it. And you're seeing that now rather than earlier in his Washington State tenure where they didn't have a great running game, so they had to rely on throwing the ball 70 times. Well, now they may throw it 55 times, but they're going to run the ball a lot better. So I'm going to take Washington State. I think Washington State's pretty good. I think they're definitely going to be some points scored. It's going to be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you. I think Washington State's the better all-around team. I question Houston's defense. Houston's going to put up points, though. Derek King's a really good quarterback. I think you look at something like 52-40, 52-42. But I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to give the 6.5 points and take Washington State. Next up, Arkansas State at number 3, Georgia. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to take Arkansas State into points because 33 points is a lot of points. Arkansas State averages almost 40 a game, and I think Arkansas State's going to score on Georgia. I don't think they score enough, but I think you'd look at like a 50-24 game.
Yeah, I think that possibility is definitely there.
No, hold on. Yeah, 50. I thought I said 54-20, and I was sitting here thinking, well, that would mean I would lose. But
yeah, I had to do the math in my head too. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you're from Ohio, so you couldn't catch me real quick like somebody from a more evolved state.
I wasn't really that worried about it. So
okay,
I'm going to take Georgia in the points, although I do think Arkansas will win. But Georgia, I just think will put some points up. I think this has really got the makings where they may be in the high 50s, and Arkansas State may be around 20 points. But I think Georgia is going to cover this.
All right, next up, probably the greatest battle in college football history. Ohio State favored by 14 against the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. Schmitty.
Take Ohio State in the points. Take Ohio State in the points.
I agree. Because I just did an Indiana Football Weekly show, which you can hear on thegrillytruth.com earlier today with Cole Hanna. And I said 41-20. That does not cover the point spread. I'm going to go with Ohio State also. But don't be surprised if Indiana puts some points up and makes this a game. I just don't think that Indiana's offensive line is good enough to stop the Ohio State defensive line. And I really have questions about IU's defense, which is going to lead to them giving up at least 40 points. Next up, we've got the Pitt Panthers at the Penn State Nittany Lions, and if this was 1980, it'd be on Thanksgiving Day, and it'd be the day after Thanksgiving on Friday, if you remember when we were little, Schmitty, and we'd watch Dan Marino against Todd Blackledge, but it's not.
Yep. But it's week 3, and I don't even know who's playing quarterback for Pitt at this point. So
it's not.
I do know Pitt's 1-1. My first thought when I looked at this is I kind of feel like, what's the point spread right now?
17.
Yeah, that's what I still feel like that's just a little bit too much. But I'm going to take Penn State in points just because Penn State's been playing so well. But usually in rivalry games like this, sometimes those point spreads are a little too much. But I'm going to take Penn State and say they win by anywhere from 17 to 20.
Yeah, I'm going to say take Penn State 40-17. I think they're a better team than what people realize right now. Next up, Maryland at Temple. Maryland is only favored by 6.5. And Maryland's offense under Mike Loxley, as we talked about with Robert Drummond on the CFL Pick'em show, one of the top stories of the early season. But this is not the Temple teams of the past. They've had a week to prepare. Can Temple cover this or possibly even get the upset?
I don't think they're going to get the upset. And I'm going to take Maryland in the points. But I do think it's going to be a lot closer game than maybe what people are realizing. Because, Maryland is Temple is a much better team than, what people saw in years past. But this Maryland team's pretty impressive. That whole, game against Syracuse, the speed that they have is really impressive. That's just something that really jumps out to you, is just how fast they are, especially on offense. They are just a fast team on offense, and that's not something they've been in the past.
All right, I'm going with Maryland. I think they win the game by 10, 12 points. Next up, New Mexico at number 7 Notre Dame. The biggest part of this story is Bob Davie coming back to Notre Dame, but of course he's not. He's not making the trip with the team. When you look at New Mexico, they're a team that were running the option up till the start of last year. They switched to the spread. They can score through the air, and they can score a lot through the air. But I think the offensive line, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball, Brian. Notre Dame is a 37-point favorite. Who do you got here? Because I'm going to take New Mexico in the points just because that's a lot of points, and New Mexico's usually a decent team at least.
It is a lot of points. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take New Mexico. My biggest concern is when your head coach isn't there. But I still feel like that's just an awful lot of points. So I'm going to agree and take New Mexico with the points. Although I do think, obviously Notre Dame's going to win. But I just think that's a lot of points.
Next up, number 2, Alabama. The Crimson Tide will roll into South Carolina. You like the wordplay, Schmitty? As a 25.5-point favorite. The Crimson Tide lost the last time they visited William Bryce Stadium, but of course that was in 2010. Ryan Helinski has played well in his first start for the Gamecocks last week, but Alabama's a different beast. I'm taking Bama, and I'm giving it 25.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take Bama in the 25. They're just, they're too impressive not to take, to be honest with you.
You there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Next up, there's no line on this game because Stanford's starting quarterback, KJ Costello. We're still not sure if he's going to play or not, so there's no line established yet. But we're going to pick it anyways. We don't care if we know who the quarterbacks are not, or do we, Schmitty?
Nah, heck, we've picked in worse situations.
Yeah, so we got Stanford at Central Florida. Central Florida, you figure, is either going with Dylan Gabriel, the freshman, or Brandon Wimbush. I think it doesn't matter. I think that system works, and I think they're going to get a big win over a Pac-12 team, Brian.
I do too. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to cover the spread. They're just UCF is just an impressive program right now, and what they continue to roll out. And I really think this is going to be, even though Stanford's 1-1, they're not in the top 25. They're still right up there, and I think this is going to be a really good win for UCF. That if they can continue to win as the season goes on, maybe helps them to catapult them into possibly being able to play at a higher bowl game, I guess, because Lord knows they'll never be allowed to be in the playoffs. But.
Yeah, ever. And they've played in high playoff games on New Year's Day. It really hurt them that Cincinnati got beat 42-0 by Ohio State, because if that would have been a closer game, then I think that Cincinnati win would have been much better for them. Next up, number 24, USC, which I think has been a little bit of a surprise, especially blowing out Stanford with their backup quarterback. Of course, Stanford had their backup also. USC is favored by 4.5 points, and despite the injury to JT Daniels, Kedon Slovis handled it well last week and looked good. They're +1 in the turnover department. They need to protect the ball on the road. I think they will here. I'm going to take USC, and I'm going to give the points, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Although playing at BYU is always a little bit of a different beast. But I like USC in this to cover the point spread, because it's the point spread is not real high, so they can win by a touchdown and be good.
All right, next up we have a Rose Bowl rematch from 1987 as the Arizona State Sun Devils will travel to Michigan State to take on the Michigan State Spartans. Freshman quarterback Jaden Daniels gets his first big test on the road against a veteran Michigan State team. Michigan State's favored by 11, and Brian, are you impressed with my reference to the 1987 Rose Bowl?
I am. You're full of wisdom and knowledge.
Before 1990,
yeah, you're doing good. This game, what's the spread right now? 14.
Michigan State is favored by 11.
By 11. Okay, it went down from last time I looked. But I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna take Arizona State. Even though I don't think Arizona's gonna win, I think they're gonna cover the spread. I just have Arizona State has usually played well against Big Ten teams and here recently, and I think that they'll cover this. They won't win the game, but they'll cover the spread.
All right, I'm going to go with Arizona State too, because I think the Sun Devils are good on defense, which will keep the game tight. I think Michigan State wins at something like 24-17, 27-17. All right, ESPN's game day is in Ames, Iowa. Have we ever said that before? And head coach Matt Campbell will try to get his first victory against the Hawkeyes. The Cyclones had an extra week to prepare. Iowa State is favored by 1 point against Iowa at Iowa State. Brian, what do you think?
I'm going to take Iowa.
Right. I'm going to go with Iowa State just for the hell of it. I like their uniforms better.
That's good reason.
All right. Then it's settled. Iowa State it is for me. Next up, we've got the Idaho State Bengals. You know who played for the Idaho State Bengals back in the day in college?
Who?
Marvin Lewis.
Well, there you go. And I'm sure that makes you very excited.
Hell yeah. And they are at number 11 Utah. Utah's favored by 35.5. Idaho State's got a very good quarterback by the name of Matt Struck, who threw for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns in Idaho State's opener. But I think it's safe to say that Utah will be the toughest defense he faces all year. I'm actually going to take Idaho State in the points, which is 35.5, Brian.
Yeah, I've seen Idaho State play, I know, like last year a couple times, and they are a really good offense, but I'm going to take Utah State points.
They're playing Utah, Brian.
I'm sorry, Utah.
But if you want to take Utah State, you can.
Well, I'll see who they're playing. I might take them anyway because they're pretty good as well.
They got a good quarterback. I don't know if they're very good.
They do.
They got a good quarterback. All right, next up, the Kent State Golden Flashes out of the great state of Ohio will travel to Auburn to battle the Tigers. Auburn's favored by 35 points. I think Auburn covers the spread, Brian.
I think Auburn covers the spread and a half. Take Auburn. Kent State is not very good. Take Auburn.
Now, the thing I don't like is when I'm reading this, people are saying Auburn had a letdown against Tulane. And I think we warned people of this last week. Tulane is a good football team. That wasn't a letdown. Tulane just played them tough.
Yeah, so Tulane is a good football team, and there's no way. Again, it's kind of that Ohio State thing is when Ohio State has a team like come in and play them close, everybody, oh God, they let that. No, there are a lot of good football teams out there that may not be, in the Big Ten, the SEC. There's a lot of good football teams out there, and Tulane is one of them. So no, I think that's really the thing. Is Tulane just play them tough.
All right, next up, we got the number 9 Florida Gators will travel to Kentucky to face the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky, of course, lost Terry Wilson for the season. Makes them wish they had Gunnar Hoke back, who transferred from the program. I'm going to take Florida to cover this easily. I think Florida's a good team, and I think this is damn near a gimme at 8.5 points, Brian.
Yeah, I'll take Florida as well. I agree with you. Although, Kentucky's not a bad team. I like the point spread here from a Florida standpoint.
Yeah. Next up, Lamar. Yeah, Lamar. It doesn't give a last name. Lamar is at number 16, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is minus 43, Brian.
Yep, and they will cover that in a big-time way.
I don't think they will. I think that Lamar covers this and loses 49-7.
It's possible.
Okay, it's settled. All right, next up, we've got Clemson at Syracuse. Syracuse was blown out last week by Maryland. Syracuse had a lot of high hopes going into this season. They're playing the game in the Carrier Dome. The point spread, though, is 27, Brian. Do you go with Clemson or are you taking the home dog?
Clemson's going to win this game, but I just think that 27 is too much. I'm going to take Syracuse in the points. Clemson will win it, but I like the points for Syracuse.
Well, I like Dino Babers at Syracuse. I like what he's done there over the last few years to get them relevant again. They're playing at home. They're coming off being embarrassed. I think that they put up a fight for about a half. I think they cover this spread, though. I'm going to take Syracuse in the points also. Next up, Northwestern State at number 4, LSU. LSU is favored by 56, which means I'm automatically just going to take Northwestern State.
I am going to agree with you with that point spread. That's a lot of points. A lot of points. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one.
All right, next up, here you go, Schmitty. Hawaii at number 23, Washington. Washington is favored by 21 points.
Yeah, take Hawaii in the point. Washington may win this game, but I do not see Hawaii not covering the spread.
Okay. I think it's too many points, too. I think Washington beats them by probably 14. I still, they squeaked by Oregon State. I don't think Oregon State's that good, but I don't know that anybody in the Pac-12 is really that good outside of Oregon, so I'll take Hawaii in the points also. Next up, Florida State, fresh off their huge win over Louisiana Monroe, will, overtime win, I think, too, will take on the Virginia Cavaliers in Virginia. Brian, did you ever think you'd see Virginia as a 7.5-point favorite against Florida State?
No, and take Virginia. I actually DVR'd it, but I actually did watch the Florida State ULM game. And, boy, I'll tell you what, Florida State is an enigma. They that first half, they looked much like Boise State. They looked really good. And then in the second half, they looked like one of the worst teams you're ever going to see. And I don't like the way they're coached. You don't ever have a good feeling when you watch them. And I like this Virginia team. Take Virginia in the points.
Yeah, I'm taking Virginia also. Florida State's defense is giving up 520 yards of offense per game, and that's bad news. Next up, number 5, Oklahoma at UCLA, the two schools that Troy Aikman played for in the 80s. Oklahoma is favored by 20, Brian, and I would suggest giving the 20 and taking Oklahoma here.
Yeah, absolutely. Too good of a football team. And look, UCLA is not very good, and quite frankly, what's his name? And my brain is shut down. Head coach for UCLA,
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly, thank you. He should have never left Oregon.
No.
He had something good going there, and he hasn't had a whole lot of success anywhere he's been. Philadelphia, and now UCLA. So, Oklahoma's just a very good football team. Excuse me.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley should be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I keep telling our Dallas Cowboy fan, Anthony Servino, that, but he doesn't believe me. Next up, Rice at number 12, Texas. The Longhorns are favored by 30.5. My take on it is I'm going to take Rice because Texas is coming off a huge emotional loss. I think that they will start off slow. I think Texas wins like 41-17.
I'm gonna take Texas to cover the spread because they're going to come out pissed off, and I like Herman as a head coach. He's really the one thing that he's done everywhere he's been, whether it's Houston or Texas, is he does a great job coming off a loss and having his team prepared to play. And Rice is just not very good. So I'm going to take Texas in the points.
All right, next up, Portland State at number 22, Boise State. Boise State's favored by 31.5. Brian, what do you think?
Yes, take Boise State.
I don't. I'm taking Portland State. Portland State lost by a touchdown to Arkansas last week. I know Arkansas is not very good, but from watching Boise State against Marshall, I think Hank Backmeyer has been good. I still think he's a work in progress. I think Portland State's got enough to cover 31.5. I think they lose like 41-14. Next up, Montana at number 15, Oregon. Oregon's given 28 points.
I'm going to tell you, there's a strong part of me that yes, Oregon's going to win this game, but strong part of me says, take Montana in the points. Montana's a pretty good football team.
Yeah, but I don't think they have the perimeter speed on both sides of the ball that Oregon has.
I agree, but Montana has always historically played well against Pac-10 schools or Pac-12 schools now. So I'm going to take Montana in the points, although, like I said, I think it'll be an easy Oregon win. But I think that's a lot of points for a really good Montana team.
All right, but they're a really good like 1AA team, right?
Yeah,
that's what would work about there. But all right, Brian. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, just looking forward to some college football this weekend.
Most definitely, and we will be back. We're here every Wednesday night live at 9:30 Eastern Time for the College Football Weekly Pick'em Show. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you go to betnow.eu. Bet all the games Schmitty picked, and if you lose more than you win, Schmitty will give you $1,000. Just go ahead and make sure that you send him an invoice through PayPal. All right, guys, we're going to
send me an invoice, and I'll send you a check for about $20.90.
Oh, so $2,090.
No, $2,090 the year.
Oh, okay. All right, guys, just don't try to cash the check, and he'll send you the money. All right. You remember, betnow.eu, promo code TRUTH100, get 100% cash back bonus on on your first deposit up to $500. You can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Oh, yeah, almost anywhere except for SoundCloud. I don't like SoundCloud. All right, guys. So for Brian Schmidt, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grilling Truth, where the legends speak.